I don't believe that they have the data. They're simulating data by going out and doing searches. And until I see the data, I don't believe you. It's no longer the what, it is the why and when. You have to be able to synthesize information and understand that this is why you should do this and when you should do it. It should be the hub. Everything that you do should exist on your website, both online and offline. I think the website is still the hub, but it's still part of the puzzle. It's just not the only piece. If you really want to stand out, then when everybody goes left, you need to go right. Don't be afraid to take risks, because people want people who want to take risks. We need people who know how to think. People that are doing things and look super successful, they're no different than you. They just tried one more time than you. We're all just people and we're all just humans, and the ceiling's really just the limits on what you think you're capable of.
Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to your show E-Coffee with Experts. This is your host Ranmay here. And today we have Jennifer Denney, who is the founder at Elevated Marketing Solutions with us. Hey Jennifer, how's it going?
Just another day.
Lovely. Jennifer, before we move any forward, why don't you talk us through your journey a bit, how it all started? I know you started, back in 2006. How was the market back then? How did you take the plunge of, starting your own agency, and also a bit about elevated marketing? What do you guys do? What do you guys specialize in? How is the model at your end? And then we'll take it off from there.
Well, I actually started in the Yellow Page industry, so I'm going to date myself a little bit. I remember in '08 when the market was crashing and the internet was becoming something real. And, that's when I really started my journey of understanding how online marketing works. Fast forward to Elevated Marketing Solutions. I was working at an agency and couldn't quite figure out what I wanted to do, if I wanted to move on to be a CMO or if I wanted to start my own agency. And my boss came to me one day and was like, can you do the work you're doing part-time? And I said, no, but you can hire Elevate Marketing Solutions. And that became day one. And he kept me for a year doing Elevate Marketing Solutions. So, through that journey, I really saw in the Yellow Page industry where we were just selling tactics, and we were, low level type marketing, and we weren't doing like actual marketing. So when I set out to start Elevated Marketing Solutions, I've always been very business minded. And for me, it's business problems first and marketing solutions second. So we don't sell marketing tactics. We look at the business and see where the problems are in the business, and then we tie the marketing tactic to it, and then make sure it's coordinated and strategically going together. You'll hear a lot of I niche in this, I niche in that, I do that, and really that's just creating disconnected tactics that don't all sing and hum together. If you've ever heard the analogy of rowing in the same direction, that's going to be us. But yeah, we do a lot of healthcare business, event type marketing. We actually work on the Indianapolis 500. And we do, I would say, also education-based or service-based businesses as well.
Nice, nice. And like you said, started back in 2006. So you have seen enough summers and winters in the industry now before the AI era happened, right? So before the AI era, in fact, what is that one major, Google update that you felt was very significant, when it hit us?
Google update that was significant. I might not have an answer you want to hear, but I do pay attention to Google updates. But a lot of times, in my opinion, Google updates are very much rooted in what Google wants and what Google is trying to move towards. And then we forget what the consumer who's actually buying the product or service, what they think or what they need. And so you got to kind of marry those two between, is this just a short-lived Google needs it, or is this actually something that the consumer would use in order to buy? So I don't know if there's like a core update that like came about that was like monumental to me, because I'm more of like, I see it, it comes out, and try to look for the like thorough way of does this actually make sense instead of constantly chasing tactics?
And you have worked with so many businesses, and a lot of businesses kind of invest more in marketing before kind of actually understanding what's already working for them. So from your experience, what separates companies that consistently improve their graph is going up, versus those who kind of get stuck making incremental changes?
Probably a lot of what I'm saying is they see something new come out. Let's just say TikTok. TikTok came out and you're like, oh, I need to be on TikTok. And it's like, well, do you? Like, what is that solving? Is your audience even actually there? And do you have the manpower to do something like that? There's all that like thinking through. And so a lot of times people just they hear something new and they gravitate towards that instead of like pulling it into the overall strategy and looking at like resources and the ability and is this like a basic like marketing thing? Like for instance, we talked pre-show about listings and mentions, and there's the entity SEO, and you could put that all the way back to the Yellow Page industry, and you wanted your name, phone number, everything information, you wanted it to be correct. It's the same thing. We just came up with a new fancy name for it, which that's what we do in marketing.
Absolutely. And like we were talking about, how similar is SEO and GEO, right? AEO or AI SEO, whatever we want to call it. What is your take on, how search has changed, in the last 2.5, 3 years now?
Yeah, so I think they are different because Google or Bing or search engines do have their own way of organizing information and algorithms. And, the LLMs like the ChatGPT, the Perplexities, the Claudes, each one of those has its own mechanism for organizing information. And so there are definitely some things that go across the board. What I'm the most interested in this discussion is why are all these LLMs hiding the true data of who's actually using it, how they're using it? Why is that being hidden? Because my guess is in pockets and areas that it's being used more as a tool, not like the traditional that we do with Google. My bet's on Google. Google has the infrastructure, Google has the data. I think people will continually use, and that's because I'm going to pull it back to the user behavior. Am I going to open up another app? Maybe. Or am I going to stay in the experience? Like it's very hard to change user behavior. So the more that it's been integrated with AI mode and AI search, I think we're really dealing with back to the basics of SEO.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Which is your favorite AI platform, by the way?
I don't believe because I don't believe that they have the data. They're simulating data by going out and doing searches. And I believe if you're a really large company and you service the entire United States, that might be of value to you. But I mostly work with small to medium sized businesses, and they're not targeting the entire United States. And so it's not of any value to them. And until I see the data, I don't believe you.
Good one. Throughout your career, Jennifer, you work with businesses at different stages of growth. Yeah. As companies scale, where do you most often see marketing kind of getting disconnected from the business itself? And how do you help bring those two back into alignment?
So for me, managing sales reps that sold marketing for over a decade, it really comes back to sales and marketing and them not talking the same language. Uh, a lot of the sales process is happening online, and that's where marketing is. So for me, marketing and sales is almost the same thing anymore. There there is e-commerce, of course, where you're directly like checking out, but you do need to go out and have conversations in person, and there does need to be the person that actually closes the sale, but people are making their decision 70 to 80% before they even get in front of anybody. And that's where marketing comes in. And so if marketing and sales can't speak to each other, like, hey, you're bringing a lot of leads, but they're crap. They're not the right kind of leads. Well, are we answering this? Or if those two departments are not like talking to each other and all being responsible for revenue growth, that's where the disconnect comes.
Hey, we hope you're enjoying the coffee and the conversation so far. This show is powered by Digital Web Solutions, and if you've ever wondered how the biggest brands actually build authority, this is it. DWS has a massive network of over 250,000 publishers, real sites that help you rank on Google, and more importantly, stay visible in AI search. It's the heavy lifting most teams just can't do on their own. As a thank you for listening, they're offering an exclusive free strategy call just for our eCoffee listeners. It's a great way to map out your authority plan for 2026. Just click the link below to book yours and see how they can help scale your brand. All right, now let's get back to the show.
Now that the industry has evolved so much, right, and you have also written, that consistency matters across search, AI, and trust, right? In practical terms, what does consistency actually mean when you're optimizing a brand for, let's say, how LLMs and AI systems actually interpret it?
So it's always come down to the questions that somebody has in the buying cycle. But now, we've been doing this for a long time. You need to answer it in different ways.
Yeah.
So, but that's always been true because some of us like to hear auditory, some of us like to see a video, some of us like to see imagery, and some of us like to see written. And some of us want to see it short, some of us want to see it long. And so there are consistent questions that we have when buying a product or service. And instead of going like multiple questions and I'm just going to create them all in written format, you've got those like pillar like topic clusters. Focus in on those and then create them in multiple forms and then look at the promotion of that and how you send that out.
And you've also talked about, building topical hubs, across formats, right? Text, video, tables, transcripts, and being ruthless about prioritization since no one can produce all of it, right? So how are you deciding which format actually earns, more AI-driven visibility based on the AI results right now?
So start with your most comfortable format that so looking again at your resources that you have on your team. Is somebody a good talker? Is somebody good on video? Is somebody a better writer? Like who is that and how do you start there? And then you can use AI tools to kind of create it into the other formats. But I think that's where we gotta start. And I think one thing a lot of people are not paying attention to is the social media platforms and how they are creating their own AI engines. I've got sitting right here the Meta glasses, and I don't think that people are paying attention to how they are organizing that information and how that's getting served up. That's a whole nother element that I didn't mention earlier that I think is really important.
And, talking about the overall AI evolution in the last 2.5, 3 years now, right? Where do you think are we heading with all of this? Because you have seen multiple phases in your career in search space, right? Where do you think are we heading the next 6 months, 1 year, so on and so forth?
It's no longer the what, it is the why and when. So you have to be able to synthesize information and understand that this is why you should do this and when you should do it. And so it's that strategic thought that is not connected with AI. It's very situational. So the way AI works, it's repeated information, but a lot of what we do is very situational. And so taking the business context that's where I think things are headed is the person who can absorb all that information, use the AI tools to get it into a format that is you're able to analyze it and then make the strategic decisions from there. So it is that strategic thought and coordination between what the actual business goals, because I can go create like for any industry a bunch of tactics, but if they're not tied to that specific business and what's great for that specific business, then you're just going to sound like everybody else. And we know in general, when people look at things in life, if you don't stand out, then you just blend right in.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about marketers, right? The industry, has kept on throwing different things at us, right? So now, how should marketers rethink the role of, the website when search journeys increasingly begin and end now inside AI experiences?
It is nowhere, it should be the hub. Okay, so first of all, everything that you do should exist on your website, but both online and offline. So right here, we're having a podcast. We're doing video. We're doing short form. We're doing webinars. We're having talks out in person. We're shaking hands. Like all of that is a ecosystem of what people know about you, who you serve, why you are different. And I think the website is still the hub, but I mean, I've thought that for a long time coming from an offline world of Yellow Pages that offline and online work together. And it just needs to be all consistent and coherent. So it's still part of the puzzle. It's just not the only piece.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for other agency owners, listening to this, Jennifer, right? Any particular piece of advice you want to share, especially to, the young folks who are trying to start their entrepreneurial journey in this space?
If it's easy, anybody can do it. So I think a lot of times we watch social media and we see, somebody pitching that, it's easy, just this. And well, that means anybody can do that. So if you really want to stand out, then when everybody goes left, you need to go right. It's not about like blending in. Don't be afraid to take risks because people want people who want to take risks. People don't want order takers. They don't want followers. We've got AI agents for that. We need people who know how to think.
Yeah. And, you have your own podcast, right? Elevated Marketing podcast and your monthly Elevated Marketing chat live stream. You're producing some serious content, educational content on a consistent basis, right? How do
Yeah.
you think, what do you think about content operation as a business development engine rather than, just as an educational service?
So it's both. I actually also own Southside Voices. And what I do when I do my content is I really try to break it down into terms that are practical and make sense and take out the BS. And so I'm just trying to talk with people at a normal level with the Elevated Marketing podcast. But Southside Voices is a local podcast where I'm actually going out and I'm interviewing business leaders in my area. I'm bringing the podcast equipment with me and I'm giving them the voice and the opportunity to tell their own story, and that has been great. I've somehow turned into the mayor around here where I, have guests that want to be on the show all the way through December. Like it's no shortage of guests. It's the right guests because I went super niche in an area that typically is underserved. We're not an area that down here where we're flashy. There's a lot of money, but we don't flash it with products. And so it's just, getting down, put on the cowboy boots, and let's talk about your story.
Very nice. Very nice. Perfect, Jennifer. This has been a great conversation. But before we let you go, I would love to play a quick rapid fire with you. Are you
Okay,
game for it?
I'm
Yeah.
ready.
All right. Your last Google search.
Gosh. I wasn't on Google today. I was looking up Olympic National Park and good things to do at Olympic National Park in Seattle.
Vacation around the
Yes,
corner?
like 3 of them a year. I am a big vacation person. I love to travel. So far we're going to Olympic National Park in Washington. We're going to Hawaii next year. And then I'm going to Utah here in August.
Nice. Nice. All right. Where do we find Jennifer on Friday evenings after office or after work?
Jennifer's in her swim spa that she owns, and which, if you don't know, it's hot tub, part pool, and I'm hanging out, chilling by my lake property that I own.
Nice. Your celebrity crush?
My husband, 27 years.
Good one. Good one. All right. The last one will not really any further. If you could, turn the clock back and, on your professional journey, if you have to change one thing, if there is one, okay, what would that be?
That, when you look at it in hindsight, 2020, like people that are doing things and look super successful, they're no different than you. They just tried one more time than you. And so, a lot of times we think that we can't achieve things because we're like, oh, well, that's just not possible. And it's those one step in front of the other. So learning that lesson sooner, that we're all just people and we're all just humans, and the ceiling's really just the limits on what you think you're capable of.
Lovely. Lovely. Perfect. Yeah, great, Jennifer. This has been a great conversation. Thank you so much once again for taking our time to do this with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.